Okay. Thanks, Rachel.
Alrighty, so California is a two-party state, which means that if we're recording something, everybody who's being recorded must consent. So if you don't want to be recorded, we ask that you leave the meeting. I expect we'll have a couple more people drop in. I hope so anyway. We have 29, which is a good bunch. So what I'm going to do is, as usual, share my screen, but first I have to drag the Zoom thing out of the way. And then I have to abandon my effort and try again. And now I can share my screen. Can everybody see my screen?
No.
Yeah, but it's boring.
It's boring?
Oh, no, not
There we
anymore.
go.
Okay.
Oh my
And
God.
there's one more little thing I gotta try and get rid of up here.
Is that Woodstock?
Yeah, anybody who came to the Saturday, anybody who came to the Saturday meeting will understand why that's there.
Yeah.
I tried to look for an image that went with major openers and responding one no Trump or one of a suit or a suit. And I didn't find anything useful, so instead I put Woodstock up there.
So do you see me in there?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Good.
sure.
Left.
Yeah, on the
she's,
left.
I think
Yeah,
she's
that's-
right here,
You don't-
feeding the people.
No, it's yeah, that's what I was doing. It's true.
So my background is mathematics and statistics and stuff like that. And, people often don't understand the concept of a random sample versus kind of a biased sample. And here's a good example of it. On Saturday, I was there and Marcus was there, and I think there were 16 other people. And 3 of them had been to Woodstock. So this is not a random sample of people.
You mean at Planet Hole?
At Planet Hool or interested in learning bridge at this life stage or whatever it is. So I figure that's probably Country Joe, but I don't know. It was just a nice picture.
Is that
It's
one
a
of those
wonderful picture.
what is it?
Oh, it was Bob
Van-
Dylan.
No,
No.
No,
Yeah.
I bet it's Country Joe.
he had curlier hair. Bob Dylan.
Oh,
And
but he
dark.
did have
Give me
a
enough.
headband. So come on,
Give me
all you big
enough.
strong men. Uncle Sam needs your help again. So I thought that what I would do today is start out with, I think it's maybe 4 slides or so that are just kind of reminders. I was reflecting on the fact that when my brother and I used to play with my parents, every night we got reminders about everything under the sun. And so I thought it would be good to do a couple of reminders. So I'll do these slides probably a little bit faster than I did them when you first saw them. But I would encourage you to download the presentation and take a look at them and reflect on them and so on. So one of the things I
And
wanted to
excuse me,
remind everybody-
Bill, it's
Yes.
so rude to interrupt, but I'm going to. For some of the folks here have never had the things that you're going to talk about. So that were in the fun 8 weeks.
No, I'm not talking about anything that was in the fun 8 weeks.
Oh, I thought Vanessa's were. Anyway, I just feel protective
Oh, of course.
of those folks who joined so recently.
The first 7 weeks or so, I think were all about card play, 7 or 9. And one of the things we did then was talked about finesses and the idea of positional advantage. You're declarer, you have the ace queen in a suit, and the opening lead is in that suit. And that guarantees you 2 tricks. Because if the third person plays small, you win your queen. And if the third person plays the king, you win your ace and your queen. So it's things like that. So I think everybody's seen this slide and the next couple. But I definitely appreciate your protectiveness. And I ask everybody if I'm, if I'm going on topics that are too hard or whatever, let me know. So I wanted to talk, remind you about finesses and leading toward an unsupported honor, and reassure you that with time at the table, you'll recognize these things in a flash. and you won't even really have to think about them. And for me, one of the things about bridge is the more I play, the more things become automatic and the less I have to think. And at my age, that's highly beneficial. So the classic finesse is a situation like this. You have the ace queen in dummy and little cards in your hand. And if you just play the ace and play the queen, well, they're going to take the queen with the king. So you're going to hope that the king is sitting over on the left-hand side and you will lead toward the ace queen. And remember, we called that the jaws, and they're ready to chomp on the king. So if the king happens to be over here, you'll plan to play the queen, and if it's over there, you'll take 2 tricks. So that's a nifty thing to do. And we also talked about situations where the queen has some support, and then you can do things like lead the queen, again, hoping the king is over here. And if the king doesn't show up, you let the queen ride. And if the king's on the right, you lose the trick, but there was nothing you could do about it. But if the king is over here, you've got it trapped. You lead the queen, then you do it again with the jack, and you end up taking all 3 tricks. And the key here is that the queen is supported. Over on the left, the queen wasn't supported, and we'll look at that again in a second. And sometimes the support is in dummy. So maybe dummy, or it could be your hand and the little cards are in dummy. So dummy has ace, jack, 10, and you have the queen. So you can lead the queen and hope that the king is on the left. And if it is, you're going to get 3 tricks in this suit. Otherwise, you'll get 2. And here's another one, ace, queen, 10 in dummy and the jack in your hand. And the reason that I called out these 2 examples is that if you led small over here to the 10 and it worked, then you'd have to get back to your hand to do it again. So a lot of times the way the cards lie, if you lead the queen first, you'll still be over here and you can do it again. Or here, if you lead the jack first and play the 10 under it, you'll still be here and you can do it again. So does that sound more or less familiar?
Yep.
Okie doke. And then there's some situations that are actually quite different. So maybe dummy has the king and some little ones, and you just have little ones. If you just lead the king, they're going to take their ace, right? So instead, it's the same kind of idea. You hope that the ace is over on the left, and you lead a small one toward the king. And if this person pops up with the ace, now your king is good. And if this person doesn't play their ace, your king will win. And if the king's on the right, or ace is on the right, there's nothing you can do about it. But it's a very cool thing to do. And sometimes you have a situation like the ace and some little ones and the queen and some little ones. It's really important to understand that leading the queen here doesn't help you. Because if the next person has the king, she'll cover an honor with an honor, right? And then you'll win your ace, but that's it.
Well, unless they play second hand low.
Right, but remember we say second hand low, but cover an honor with an honor. This is why we cover an honor with an honor. Thank you, Patty. That was great. And if the king's on the right, the queen will go around to it and the king will win anyway. So leading the queen here doesn't actually help you. You have to lead small from dummy toward your queen, hoping the king is on the right. And then it's just like this situation. If they pop up with the king, which they're unlikely to do, now your queen is good. And if they play small, which they're likely to do, your queen will win the trick. So and that leads into 2 important trump holdings that I want to remind you of. Suppose this is your trump suit. In one hand, you have the ace and 3 little ones, and in the other hand, you have the queen and 3 little ones. Generally, the best way to play this suit is as follows. If you lead the queen, just like we talked about on the last page, you're certain to lose 2 tricks. You know, they've got the king, jack, 10, 9, 8, right? If you lead the queen, this person's going to cover it with the king. You'll take your ace, but then they've got the jack 10, 9, 8. And if this person's got the king, the queen's going to ride around to it and lose. And then they've got the jack 10, 9, 8. The queen doesn't have any supporting cards. So you have to lead toward it. So typically the best way to play this suit is you start by taking the ace, and then you play small toward the queen, hoping that this person has the king. So again, this is just kind of a pattern that you'll want to learn to recognize when you see it. And when you see it, you just go, oh, take the ace, lead toward the queen, hope the king is over here. And there's kind of a similar one where dummy maybe has the ace, jack, 4, 3, 2, and you have king and a couple of other ones. We talked at one point about 8 ever, 9 never when missing the queen. If you play the ace king, the queen is pretty unlikely to fall. The opponents have 5 cards in this suit. And if you play the ace king, the queen is pretty unlikely to fall. So similar to this situation, the best way to attack this suit is win the king first and then lead small toward the jack. And again, you're hoping the queen is over here. And the reason you play the king first is once in a blue moon, there's a singleton queen over here, and you hate to have your jack lose to the singleton queen. So again, you're going to take the king and then hope the queen is on the left and lead toward the jack. So I
And
encourage
what
you to.
about if you use a strategy like you do it the other way around? Maybe you think the queen is on the left, and so you start from the dummy.
Right, you're hoping the queen is on the left. And again, the problem is if you lead the jack, it won't do you any good because the jack is not supported. If the next person has the queen, she'll cover the jack. And then you get your ace king, but just little cards. And if the queen is over here, the jack will ride around to it. So
But the king isn't supported either.
I'm sorry, say again?
Neither way is supported. That's why I was wondering why one way was better.
Because that's a great question. Because you play the king, it's just like when you have only the ace queen over here. This is jaws. I should have put a little jaws in
Okay,
there.
okay.
So you take the
Okay.
king and then you lead toward the jaws. Great
You're
question.
setting up a jaws.
Yes, you're leading toward the jaws. Thank you. Great comment. So then I wanted to remind a few other things. We talk about these nowadays almost every week. The purpose of bidding is to figure out what suit to play in and how high to go. And again, if you remind yourself this at the start of every hand, it'll be really, really helpful. We count points so that we know how strong our hand is, so we have a sense of how high to bid. And we usually count high card points plus length if you're trying to decide, do I open the bidding? And if you have support for partner suit, then you count high card points plus shortness. So you add in for doubletons or singletons or voids. And I'm not going to go through the details, just wanted to remind everybody. And
That's for the dummy to be. I love that phrase.
yeah, for the dummy to be. And if we're in the situation of trying to decide, do I open? If you can come up with about 12 points, go ahead and bid. And if you have 15 to 17 high card points and you're balanced, open a no trump. And that's everybody's favorite opening bid because it's so descriptive that partner will know what to do and will steer your ship to the right harbor. Partner becomes the captain of the team. And I wanted to remind us that we need 5 or more cards to open a major. And the reason for that is that we're dying to find an 8-card major fit if we have one. And following this rule, I hate the word rule, but if you only open majors that are 5 cards or longer, it's way easier to find 8-card fits. And you can open a minor that's shorter than that with 4 cards or occasionally 3. And really important, people get so locked into this, you got to have 5 cards to open a major. Well, once the auction has started, it's perfectly fine to bid a 4-card major. In fact, it's a wonderful thing. You know, Deborah's my partner. Deborah opens a diamond. I have a 4-card spade suit. I bid a spade. It's perfectly fine to bid a 4-card major during the auction. And again, our priorities are we're looking for a fit in a major. And if not, we'll try to play in no trump. And if everything else fails, we'll play in a minor suit. So these are just kind of reminder things. Questions about any of those?
I sort of was curious if there was any kind of a situation like, what if you had 22 points and your partner only had 6 and you've opened with a 2 bid, so your partner knows you have more than 20 points. Are they then allowed to
Yeah,
change your
let's
if
take
they only have 6, instead of 9 or 10?
Yeah, let's take a look at that. We're not going to go into any detail on that, but I did want to remind you from 2 weeks ago that opening one of a major is a very wide range, 12 to 21 points, and it promises at least 5 cards in the major. And the 2 examples that we often look at are this absolutely lovely hand, where I count 4, 8, 10, 17 high card points, and 2 for length in spades. So this is a lovely 19-point hand. And another example, we'd open a spade. Another example, here I count 10 high card points and 1 for length. So that's 11. So that's not enough to open. So I would pass. But if I had, say, the ace jack of spades here, I'd count it as 12 and I'd open it. And you can see that that opening bid has an incredibly wide range. And I think your question was, well, what do you do if you have 22 plus?
Right, and you opened with a 2, so your partner knows.
But-
Can they then
Hey.
change the bid with maybe even less than 6?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah.
We did a talk on that in the fun 8 weeks. I'm not able to squeeze this topic into the 24-week curriculum. But the short story is that on the very rare occasion where you have a monster hand, you open it 2 clubs. And there's a whole structure for responding to that, which we talked about in January, but doesn't fit into our curriculum. The short story is partner has to respond, because you could have 32 points.
And
So-
also you might not have any clubs.
And you also might have no clubs. Exactly. So anyway, I think this is the end of the reminder stuff. Oh no, one more reminder. 2 weeks ago, we talked about raising openers major suit opening by bidding her suit. And let's suppose a partner opens a heart. Well, Rob Petrie here is looking at his hand, and he might be thinking one of many things. He might be thinking, I have a terrible hand. Or he might be thinking, I have a weak hand, but I do have 3 or more of your suit, so we have an 8-card fit. And maybe he's got a better hand than that. He's got not 6 to 10, but he's got 11 or 12, and he's got 4-card support. So we have at least a 9-card fit. That's fabulous. And another thing we talked about, I think 2 weeks ago, was he has a weak hand, but he's got a boatload of hearts. And he has a singleton or void, so declarer is going to be able to trump a bunch of things in his hand. And finally, he might be thinking, well, I've got enough to bid, but none of these bids are appropriate. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But I just wanted to remind you from 2 weeks ago, what we said was if you have a terrible hand, you pass. And if you have a weak hand, 6 to 10, but have support, then you bid 2 hearts. And some people call that a simple raise. And if you've got a better hand with 4-card support, then you can bid 3 hearts, and that's called a limit raise. All of these things help partner figure out what to do. And if you have a weak hand with a ton of length in the opener's suit and a singleton or void, whoops, sorry, let me do this one, then I'll make that comment. You just jump to 4. It's called a weak freak. It's just the most fun bid to make. It's just really fun, and it's really difficult for the opponents to deal with. And I would make a comment here that why did I insist on having 4-card support here instead of 3-card support? And the answer is that I'm really a stickler for that, because a 9-card fit is way easier to play than an 8-card fit. It always works out better. And so what you're saying with your limit raise is, partner, I've got 11 or 12, unless you're an absolute minimum, go ahead and bid game. And it's way easier for partner to make that decision when partner knows you have 4 cards. Now, I know that people are going to make this bid with only 3-card support, and over time, you'll eventually decide to stick to the 4-card support. So today we're going to talk about what to do when none of these things fit. We good with that?
So would you just do 2 hearts then? If you only had 3 in there with 11 to 12 points, you just would do 2?
No, you can't. If you're following your partnership agreements.
Yeah, so what would you do?
We'll see in about 2 slides.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah. No, that's great. I love lead-in questions. So
She's a plant.
so I thought this might be a helpful one to look at just for a second. Oh, and I think I forgot to change the King of Hearts. What's going on here? This is not the hand I'm looking for. Oh, maybe it is. So partner opens a heart, and you've got 10 high card points and a 4-card spade suit. So you go ahead and bid a spade. And what you're saying is, I have 6 or more high card points. With fewer, I would pass. And I have at least 4 cards in that suit. That's the only thing you're saying. You might have 7 spades. You might have 14 points. It's a very wide range. And so because your bid has no upper limit, opener's gonna say something. Opener must respond. Some people will say this is a forcing bid. You need opener to say something so that you have a chance to continue describing your hand. So if you have enough to bid, but you can't make that immediate raise to 2, 3, or 4, there's basically 3 possibilities. One is you have a suit you can bid at the 1 level. And the second possibility is partner opens a spade. You've got 10 high card points. You can't support spades, but you do have a club suit. And so with this hand, you bid 2 clubs. And we talked last week about the idea of, quote, going to the 2 level. When partner opens a spade, for you to bid 2 clubs, you better have 10 or more high card points. And the reason is, we looked at an example where the responder had a really weak hand, but bid 2 of a minor suit. And then opener bid something else, and then responder bid something else, and all of a sudden they end up in a 3-note trump contract that goes down 3 or 4 or 5. And what we have to do is we have to be careful. We don't want to get up too high if we're weak. So if you have 10 or more points, then it's fine to bid a suit at the 2 level. And again, your bid is unlimited, so opener has to say something. So again, opener made an opening bid of a major. You can't immediately bid 2, 3, or 4. maybe you bid your own suit at the 1 level. Maybe you bid your own suit at the 2 level, but you got to be strong enough, or very often you'll end up bidding 1 no trump. So opener bids a heart, we've got 6 points, so we have to say something. We can't raise hearts. We don't have a suit to bid at the 1 level. And we don't have the 10 points that we need to go to the 2 level. So we bid 1 no trump. And we wait to see what partner says. And you're sending a very clear message. You're saying, I have 6 to 9 high card points. I can't raise your suit, or I would have. There's no suit I can bid at the 1 level. And the thing that trips people up is you're not promising a balanced hand. You're kind of stuck because you couldn't do any of these things. And so 1 no trump as a response becomes kind of a catch-all bid. And basically the message you're sending is, I'm pretty weak, so don't bid too high.
But what if you're strong? What if you have, you know,
Then you could bid a suit at the 1 level, or you could bid a suit at the
but
2
I mean,
level.
if you didn't have a suit at even, you know what I mean? Because I have had hands where I've had lots of points, but I have no suit I could bid.
Well,
Even
what
though I
did you
have
have?
lots of points.
What did you have? 3 1/3 cards in every suit? There had to be
Yeah,
4
yeah,
cards.
something like that, yeah. Where you
Had
could
to be a
really,
4-card suit in there somewhere.
maybe, but I was just wondering if you could do something with that.
I think we should ask Bob to deal bridge hands for a week nonstop and let us know if any of them are lacking a 4-card suit. You'll always have a 4-card suit. The most balanced it can be is 4 3 3 3. So you'll always have something you can bid. But I hear your question.
And your pain.
And your pain, exactly. Yeah,
Well,
Well,
is
you
there,
know, I don't really consider a 4-card suit 5 4 3 2, you know, in the suit 5 4 3 2 point something like that. I mean,
well,
no, I
you're
wouldn't count that.
you're entitled to not consider that a suit, but then the question is, what the heck do you do?
Well, that's, yeah,
And so my counsel would be, convince yourself that it's a suit. Pretend it's a suit.
so, Phil,
Bill,
Yes.
I have a question. In the second example, when you change suit by
Yep.
responder, don't they have to have 5 cards, 10, at least 10 high card points and 5 cards in the suit?
I think in standard American, you can do it with 4 cards.
Really?
Well, I don't know. I don't bid standard
Okay.
American anymore. So my life is simpler. But I just think there's some hands where you got to keep the bidding going and you've got the strength to bid at the next level. I don't know, maybe somebody else more knowledgeable than I can comment on that.
Sometimes you just have to find the least bad lie.
Yeah, the least bad bid.
and,
But
Phil, so it's absolutely true that in every hand you'll have at least 4 cards of 1 suit.
That's correct.
Okay,
Well, you could
Because
have 7 6.
if we have 3 spades and 3 hearts and 3 clubs and 3 diamonds, that's only 12 cards. There's 1 more card to pick up,
okay.
and it ain't
No,
the
that's-
Joker.
No, it's good to know.
Yeah,
In every hand, you'll have at least 1 suit with 4 cards. Yes.
4 cards or more. Yep.
Or more. The or
Yep.
more is important.
Or
And we
more.
always want more. So let's formalize that a little bit. So opener opens one of a suit and responder bids a suit. All you're saying is 6 or more high card points, 4 or more cards, and it's unlimited. So opener's got to say something. Remember, bidding is a conversation. And responder here has said, I have 6+ points, 4+ cards in the suit. Tell me more.
And one question,
Yeah.
as responder, you're not considering shortness right away?
That's
No.
correct. Unless you're immediately raising partner's suit. If you're raising partner's suit, you can count shortness.
Oh, okay.
Because shortness is really only helpful if partner and you have a fit and partner has the longer trump suit.
Okay,
And they're going to be able to trump things in your hand to add tricks.
okay, thank you.
The only
So-
way you could say respond with one of a suit is if your partner had opened a heart.
Yeah, I generalized this a little bit. So, somebody could open a club and you respond a diamond or a club and a spade. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you. So opener bids one diamond and you want to bid two clubs. Or opener bids a heart and you want to bid two diamonds, or opener bids a spade and you want to bid two clubs, or whatever. That's the euphemism for that is go to the two level. And that here are the examples, a diamond and two clubs, a heart, two clubs or two diamonds, a spade, and then some other suit at the two level. That's what people mean when they say responder went to the two level. And for that, you're promising 10 points and promising 4 or more cards in the suit. At least I think it's 4 or more. And again, the bid is unlimited. So opener has to say something. So sometimes people will say this is a forcing bid. A new suit by an unlimited hand is forcing for one round. And again, bid your longest suit. And if they're same, if you have a couple of 4-card suits, you bid them up the line, because that makes it easier to find where you have to forfeit. And then final, I threw in something about jump shift. I won't even mention that. And the other thing, the bid that drives people crazy sometimes is one of a suit and then one no trump. And you're saying 6 to 9 high card points. I can't raise your suit. I can't say anything at the one level. I'm not promising that I'm balanced. And essentially what you're saying with this 6 to 9 is danger, I have a weak hand. And a one no trump opening bid and a one no trump response are phenomenally different. And it's easy to get that confused as you work through your early days at the bridge table. One no trump opening bid is very specific, 15 to 17 balance. One no trump response, very, very different. Okay.
I love your danger, 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 Will Robinson. I love it.
Bingo, you got it. You got it. So this is the slide that I added that I thought I was doing a moment ago. And it's just some counsel. If you've got a weak hand, you want to be looking to get out low. I mean, maybe partner has a monster and she'll go jumping the game or something, but let's imagine you have this modest little 6-point hand and partner opens a heart. Well, you can bid one spade and tell partner you have a 4-card spade suit. So you go ahead and bid one spade and you're saying I have 6 or more points, 4 more cards in the suit, and opener has to say something. So let's look at some examples of what might come next. What if partner
Can I ask
bids?
a question?
Of course.
If the opposition bids after you bid your one spade, does your partner have to open? I mean, the opener have to bid something above it?
No,
Okay,
that takes the opener off the hook.
okay.
It also gives opener some new options of things to bid, but yes, yep, good question. And again, I'm just assuming that the opponents are silent in all this bidding. I think we'll talk about overcalls at some point. So suppose partner rebids 2 hearts. Well, partner is saying, I have not just 5 hearts, but I have at least 6 hearts. And I have a relatively modest opening bid because I didn't go jumping to 3 or anything exciting. And so now you look at your hand and you think, well, we've got an 8-card fit. I'll pass. Very common auction. Very common auction. Let's look at another one. You have bid your one spade and partner raises you to two spades. Partner must have a 4-card spade suit at least. Well, that's exciting, but you're really weak. Partner didn't go jumping to show strength. You pass. Maybe partner rebids one no trump. So what they're saying is, I've got a balanced hand. I wasn't strong enough to open one no trump, but I've got a balanced hand. I don't have another suit to show you. I can't raise your spades. I can't bid my hearts again. I don't have 6 of them. You pass. So
So when they
rebid-
say no trump, it's balanced, but when
it's
response,
relatively balanced. You know, if they had a 4-card club suit, they'd rebid 2 clubs. If they had a 4-card diamond, probably. If they had a 4-card diamond suit, they might rebid 2 diamonds. Basically, what they're saying here is they're pretty balanced. And so you don't see any future, right? They didn't raise your spades and they don't have 6 hearts. So let's just get out. Does that answer your question, Karen?
I guess
And-
so.
And here's another
That is
example.
not convincing
Yeah, it was not convincing.
at all.
Yeah, well, essentially, if
Who
opener
says
had
the no
4
trump?
spades, she'd bid him. If opener had 6 hearts, she'd rebid him. If she's got 5 hearts and 4 or 5 of a minor, she'll bid the minor. So if none of those things are happening, she's relatively balanced, but she didn't open one no trump. So you know her cap is 14 high card points. So you passed, you're happy to pass. We bid boldly, but we bid sensibly. Discretion is the better part of valor. And if partner bids 2 diamonds, you're absolutely thrilled and you pass. And maybe partner bids 2 clubs. Well, what do we know now? Partner has at least 5 hearts. She's got at least 4 clubs, maybe 5. That doesn't leave very many cards in these suits. Let's just bid 2 hearts. We're not thrilled about it, but let's put her back in this other suit where we know we have at least 7. You know, she might have only had 4 clubs. My mom used to call this preferring partner back to her first bid suit.
You
This
wouldn't go
is-
to no trump, 2 no trump?
This is a weak bid. 2 no trump would be a very forward going bid.
Oh, okay.
2 no trump would be invitational to 3 no trump.
Uh,
And we have
No
no
one.
interest in that. So
Gotcha.
we just put partner back in 2 hearts. She'll survive playing in a 5-2 fit. She'll do just fine.
Well, one thing nice about bidding 2 hearts in that situation is partner knows you don't have 3.
Yes,
If it had 3, you would have raised immediately. So you're really not kidding, partner. So it seems a little odd to be raising with just 2, but it's okay. Partner will know that you have just 2. And because again, if you'd had 3, you would have raised initially instead of showing the spade suit.
Thanks, Bob.
I
excellent.
thought in the other lesson, though, there were times we didn't raise right away, like if we had the 3 hearts, but we also had spades, we would say the spades first. Because I remember that
Yeah.
kind of threw me, Bob, because then I'm like, well, then my partner doesn't know I really have 3.
Well, yes.
Right?
And the next slide we go. I didn't know what to call this, so I decided to call it delayed raises of partners opener, major opener. And it, in a sense, this is kind of almost intermediate, but I think it's super important. And I really would like you to build this habit now, so you don't have to break a habit later on. So remember, we're trying to figure out what suit and how high. So let's look at 2 hands. Partner opens a heart, and you have this hand. How high? Game or below game?
Game.
Game. Maybe slam. Right? You've got 17 high card points and you've got 1 for shortness. What suit do you want to play in?
Spades.
Oh, partner opened a heart.
Hearts or spades.
Maybe spades if partner has 3 of them, but at this point, you know you have an 8-card heart fit. So as soon as partner opens a heart, you know the answer to these 2 questions. You know to be at least game, and you know you can play in hearts. I mean, maybe there's a surprise and you want to play in spades, but the odds are you're going to end up playing in hearts and at least game. But none of the bids that we talked about 2 weeks ago apply to this hand. Right? You can't jump to 4 because that would show the weak freak hand. This is anything but a weak freak hand. If you go on BBO and you take a look at a tournament that was finished, that was played by open players, nobody will bid 4 hearts with this hand. If you go to BBO and you look at a game that was played by a bunch of people with 0 to 99 master points, a ton of them are going to bid 4 hearts. And occasionally partner will have a really big hand and they'll miss a slam, because the same bid can't mean 2 different things. The same bid can't mean a weak freak sometimes and let's play in game sometimes, because partner won't know which it is unless partner's sitting next to you and looking at your screen, which we discourage. So what do you do with this hand? And Karen, this is the hand you were talking about. You know hearts and game, but none of the direct raises describe this hand. So just bid a spade. There's no hurry. Bid a spade and see what partner says. Maybe partner shows a super strong hand. And now you know you're going to end up in slam. Or maybe partner makes a relatively minimal bid, and then you'll jump to 4 hearts. Whoops. So let's see what partner says. And if partner seems kind of minimal, then you just jump to 4 hearts. So you just stayed calm and took your time. You bid 1 spade so that you could have a conversation. Karen, was that the kind of example you were thinking of?
Yes.
Okay.
So-
Let's
so
look
what
at
would-
another one. Go
What
ahead.
would the
Christian.
opener probably do then, Phil?
Well, you've got so darn many points that the odds are opener's pretty minimum. So maybe they're going to rebid 2 hearts, or maybe they're going to rebid 1 no trump. Possibly they're going to show you a second suit, a minor. There's a really small chance they'll raise your spades. But you know the answer to the 2 questions, but you want to wait and hear more from partner. So you just bid a quiet 1 spade.
What if you don't have that many points?
Like the hand at the bottom?
Well, like you have 11 points.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. So
points.
in fact,
In the first, no, in case 1, you don't have 17 points.
well, this one down here is meant to be kind of the same ilk. It just didn't have a long spade suit.
So
So
if it did have a
actually,
long-
I should have made them more parallel. I
That's-
should have made them more parallel.
So
So
it's
so-
not because you had 5 spades, it's because you had 17 points, is what you're saying with case 1.
yeah, and you could bid 1 spade nice and quietly. Down here, you have 10 high card. So again, the 2 questions. Partner opened a heart, so you know you have a heart fit. Partner doesn't know that yet, but you do. So you want to play in hearts. And you've got 10 high card points and 1 for shortness. So you've got 11. So if partner has a minimum, you can't go to game. But if partner has even 14 or 15, you want to play in game. And if you had 1 more heart, you would have bid 3 hearts. But you don't. So you have the strength for a limit raise, but you don't have enough hearts. So you just bid 2 clubs. It's forcing. There's no hurry. Whoops. Let's see what partner says. And maybe partner bids 2 diamonds. And then what you will do is your next bid, you're going to jump to 3 hearts. So you didn't jump to 3 hearts right away. You bid something, and then you jump to 3 hearts. And that's an invitational raise, 11 or 12, but only 3 hearts. And there's a bridge teacher locally here who says, when you've only got 3 card support, you can't jump to 3. Instead, you do the 2-step. So you bid something, and then you jump to 3.
But I thought bidding 2 only said that you had 10 points or 10.
Minimum of 10 points. Right? All you're telling partner is I have 10 plus points and I have a club suit. And so partner will further describe her hand. Did that answer your question, Mark?
I think so.
Phil, if you had 4 hearts, would you go to 3?
Yes. If there were a 4th heart over here, where's my
You
annotation?
go to 3 hearts. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a limit raise.
Then it's a limit raise. Yep. So
So in between, your partner might have said 2 diamonds or 2 spades.
yep. So if your hand looked like this instead, actually that's a little too strong. I'm sorry. How do I erase? I'll start again. So let's imagine that your hand was a little different. You had another heart and this little club went away. Now you have 10 high, 1 in shortness, and you have 4 card support. So now you can jump straight to 3 hearts. And go ahead.
What if you didn't have 4 clubs? You had 3 diamonds, 3 clubs. By going to the 2 level, you're promising 4. So what if you didn't have 4? Oh, then you would have had to say spades, because then you would have had to have 4 spades.
Yes, yes, exactly. If you had a spade and you're missing 1 more here, when it looks like this, we're going to make you could bid a spade or you could just do a limit raise. I don't know how to find eraser, so all I can do is clear everything. So anyway, I'm a little concerned about bringing all this up because it's a little bit technical. And like I said, it's almost intermediate. If you go ahead and jump to 3 hearts with only 3 card support, partner's pretty much going to get the message. The challenge is you're going to build up a habit that won't serve you well farther down the line if you want to play more seriously. So that was a lot of stuff. And question? Here's the way to think about this jump to 3 hearts. First of all, never tell yourself, partner doesn't like my suit. Has anybody ever had this conversation? I can cook chicken for dinner. Well, we have leftovers. I also bought some pork belly. Chicken sounds great. So if you've had that conversation, here it is in bridge. A heart, a spade, 2 diamonds, 3 hearts. The 1 spade bid did not say, I don't like your chicken. I mean, your hearts. Okay, it's just part of the conversation. This is a conversation, right? I can cook chicken while we have leftovers. I have pork belly. Chicken sounds great. And that's exactly what the bids in bridge here mean. I got 5 hearts. I got 4 spades. I got 4 diamonds. Oh, surprise. I like your hearts. So anytime you find yourself telling yourself partner doesn't like my suit, try to stop the message. So.
The only thing wrong there is if my husband says I can cook dinner, I just say, yes, yes, yes. There.
Right. Reminds me of the time when I had a team of 9 females and we're shooting the breeze before a staff meeting. And I said something about my wife doesn't like the way that I fold the laundry. And the room went out of control for like 5 minutes. It was. So let's assume the opponents pass throughout. I did put that on this slide. So opener, your partner bids one of a major. Tell her something. If you got a really lousy hand, just pass. And otherwise, just bid naturally. Raise partner's suit if it's appropriate. Bid no trump. Bid your own suit. And just keep reminding yourself you want to answer these 2 questions. I'm going to skip some of the slides, but I am going to talk briefly about opener's second bid. So again, bidding's a conversation. Opener is going to do one of 3 things. Opener is going to maybe place the contract. I open a heart, Karen bids a no trump, I pass. I open a heart, Karen bids a spade, I have a monster hand, I bid 4 spades. I'm placing the contract because I know enough to do that. Or opener's going to invite. I bid a heart, Brock bids a spade, I bid 3 spades. I'm saying I don't have enough to bid 4 right away, but if you've got, much more than a minimum, I'd like you to bid 4. And sometimes opener will just describe her hand some more. So I open a heart, Mark bids a spade, I bid 2 clubs. I'm telling Mark, I can't raise your spades. I got a club suit. And I've got a couple of slides. It's almost 5, so I think we should probably poop out of these. So I'm gonna, these are.
Hey, Bill, if they didn't respond with 2 of, I can't remember if they were hearts or spades on that last bid, that means they don't have a 6-card major, right? If they get to if they go to clubs.
I was gonna say they don't have a 6-card suit. For me and my partner, if we're 6-4, we did the first suit, the second suit, and then the first suit. But generally, they're going to rebid their major if they have a 6-card major. Generally, that's what you'll hear. Excellent question. So I'm going to skip a few things. Bob Dylan actually joins us, but we don't have time to talk to him.
Yeah.
And you can read these. I think they'll be self-explanatory. I did want to talk briefly about how to raise opener's major. So 2 weeks ago, this is when you have support. 2 weeks ago, we said, if you've got a weak hand, 6 to 10, just raise to 2. If you've got crazy distribution in your week, jump to 4. And if you have 11 or 12, so it's stronger than this, with at least 4-card support, you jump to 3. And then the 2 things in between that Karen was asking about, 11 to 12 with 3-card support, we do the 2-step. We bid something else and then we jump. And if that's too much memory and you want to drop this 4-card support thing, that's fine. If you play a lot of bridge, you'll pick it up again in a couple of years. And if you have a game going hand, it's okay to bid a suit and learn more from partner. and then jump to game or force your way to game somehow. So I just did want to go over the recap of that. And then the other things, if you don't raise immediately, you're going to pass, or you're going to bid one no trump, or you're going to bid one of a suit, or you're going to bid two of a suit. So there we go. There's an extensive appendix, and I knew there was more material than we could do today. So you could go back and look at the previous 3 slides, which gave a bunch of examples of placing the contract, inviting, and just describing.